On Tuesday the 24th of October, just last year, a 39-year-old man named Destin Henderson was supposed to be spending the day at his apartment in Houston when he would mysteriously disappear. According to his mother Lawana, she had last spoken to him earlier that day when he mentioned that he was busy with a friend and said he would call her back once his guest had left. However, after an entire day had passed with Destin failing to call her back, Lawana started to worry that her son may have been in trouble, as this was very unusual behaviour. So, rightfully concerned, she began frantically calling his phone, hoping that he would eventually pick up. But to her surprise, he would continue to ignore her calls, and it would be Destin's friend that would suspiciously decide to call Lawana directly, as he too was apparently alarmed by Destin's strange and sudden disappearance. So alarmed, in fact, that he had decided to report him as missing to the Harris County Sheriff's Office. However, after 6 months of searching, the police have only been able to locate Destin's car, with the 39-year-old continuing to remain a missing person to this day. So, given the troubling details that surround his case, his family are only left to wonder what really happened to Destin Henderson, and who could be responsible for his disappearance. Destin Lee Henderson was born in the year 1984 to his loving mother Lawana Shaw in the state of California, alongside his sister Leonessa. Little was known about his younger years, but his family described him as an incredibly bubbly child who, even at the age of just 3 years old, was already looking forward to the day he would be able to look after his mother, and this close relationship would persist throughout his life, with the pair never going a day without talking to each other even during his adolescence. By all accounts, there wasn't anything he wouldn't do for anyone, and he was greatly loved by his entire family, including his daughter, which he would have at the age of 22, just a few years after graduating from school. However, the time would eventually come where he would unfortunately have to say goodbye to his family, as he had made the bold decision to move across the country to the state of Ohio for work purposes, where he would assist potential candidates in finding job placements. According to his mother, Destin absolutely loved helping people, so this really was a dream job for him, and an opportunity he simply couldn't let pass. But just because he was following his passion didn't mean he wouldn't get homesick from time to time. So after living in Ohio for a few years, he would eventually decide to move once again, this time to an apartment complex in Houston, Texas, so he could be a bit closer to family and make some progress in his career. However, it would seem that this decision would soon reveal itself to be a grave mistake, as not too long after finally being able to spend some much needed time with his daughter, Destin would mysteriously disappear, never to be seen again. On Tuesday the 24th of October, the 39-year-old father was spending the day with his friend and ex-partner of 9 years named Alex Rydell, as the two had apparently remained very close despite their breakup years earlier, and Alex had already moved on with a new partner that he lived with in the same apartment complex in Houston. By all accounts, Destin had moved to the area around August of 2023, and Alex had followed, with the two deciding to stay in each other's lives despite their decision to remain nothing more than friends. So it would be safe to say that there was nothing particularly significant about their plans that day, as it was relatively common for the two to spend time together. However, at some point Destin would receive a phone call from his mother, Lawana Shaw, who was calling to check in as she did every day. But given his plans, Destin apologised to his mother and agreed to call her back later that day, explaining that he was busy with a guest at the time. But as the hours quickly went by, with day soon turning to night, Lawana began to worry that something was wrong, as Destin would usually always call her back and was the type of person to keep his promises. So after she woke the next morning to find that there was still no response from her son, this mild concern would soon evolve into a feeling of panic as she hypothesized every horrific possibility. She then went on to call Destin multiple times throughout the day, hoping it would only be a matter of time before he would eventually pick up and confirm he was okay. However, in a strange twist of fate, Luana would eventually receive a call from a number she didn't recognize and understandably assumed that this had to have been her son calling from a different phone. But to her shock, the person on the other end of the line was none other than Alex Rydell, who would reveal some harrowing information that would cause Luana to begin to fear the worst. On Wednesday the 25th of October, it was revealed to Luana Shaw that her son had been missing for the entire day and that Alex was worried for his safety. So, equally as concerned, Luana asked him what had happened the night before, as Destin was supposed to call her back later that night. But confused by this question, Alex simply responded by saying he had no idea why Destin didn't call her, and that he hadn't seen him since they hung out the day before at Destin's apartment. So he was unfortunately unable to provide any further information that may have alluded as to why Destin wasn't answering his phone. In addition, a detail which made the situation even more harrowing was that Destin had failed to show up to work that day as well. So Alex had taken it upon himself to officially report him as missing to the Harris County Sheriff's Office in the hopes that they would be able to find him before it was too late. However, upon receiving the report, the police would fail to raise any serious alarm bells, as it was still very early in the case and Destin was a 39-year-old man that had only been missing for less than 48 hours at the time. So it would be safe to say that the investigation had a very slow start, with the authorities refusing to send out too many officers until they had reason to believe Destin was in serious danger. So, given the lack of assistance from the police, Luana and the rest of the family agreed to travel over from California to Houston to begin their own investigation. But what they would find upon their arrival would shock the entire family to its core. On Friday the 27th of October, Luana Shaw and the rest of the family headed out to the city of Houston to see if they could try and uncover any information on their missing loved one. According to Luana, the first place they searched was Destin's apartment, which was located on the 400 block of Highland Cross in North Harris County, and upon entering the property, they discovered that his casual wear was missing, and a comforter that Luana had bought him earlier that year was stuffed inside a storage container way out of place. Destin's sister Leonessa also mentioned that they then searched outside of Destin's apartment, as well as the entire complex in the process, and spoke to the management team, who revealed that they had seen Destin the night before he disappeared, claiming that he was his normal bubbly self as usual. But despite these useful details, there was no sign of Destin or any further evidence, and to make matters even worse, the police were shocked to learn that Destin's phone was also missing, meaning that there was no excuse for him to be ignoring his phone calls. So, with very little to go off, the family then took their findings to the Harris County Sheriff's Department to see if they would be willing to investigate further. And to their luck, the police officers agreed, before attempting to trace the last known ping from Destin's cell phone to see if they could locate his last known whereabouts. However, despite locating the position of the final ping in a town called Aldine, this unfortunately did not lead to any further evidence, and left the police still scratching their heads as to where Destin could have gone. So, determined to get to the bottom of this mystery, the police then decided to question his friends and family to see if they would be able to reveal any crucial information that could have given the officers a new lead to work with. And upon speaking with Destin's ex-partner, Alex Rydell, some information was revealed that would appear to blow the case wide open. On Monday the 30th of October, it was revealed by Alex Rydell that for reasons unknown, he had found himself in possession of some of Destin's electronics, including 2 laptops and a phone, all of which were revealed to have belonged to Destin. However, despite this huge discovery, the police did not confiscate these items for evidence, and the explanation for why Alex was harboring these items still remains a mystery to this day. But given the fact that the two men were very close friends at the time, this was likely written off as a red herring, as Destin would often spend time at the apartment and Alex seemed quite forthright about admitting to his possession of the items. But although the police didn't seem too interested in this rather crucial piece of evidence, this didn't mean that Destin's family felt the same, as according to Lawana Shaw, this update in the case made Alex Rydell a prime suspect alongside his girlfriend. However, despite the Harris County Sheriff's Office not believing Alex was involved in Destin's disappearance, they did announce to the public that he was missing under concerning circumstances, and that they should be on the lookout for a red 2015 Honda Accord with an Ohio license plate, as Destin's vehicle was also missing at the time. And after making this announcement, it wouldn't be too long before a member of the public would call in about an abandoned vehicle that fit the exact description, which would open up a whole new line of questioning. However, the sheriff's office would later reveal that although the car was identified as belonging to Destin, and that it was successfully recovered and processed by the investigators, somehow nothing of note would come of this discovery, leaving Destin's family heartbroken once again, as by this time he had been missing for almost 5 months with no official sightings to speak of. Now, unfortunately, as far as the official investigation goes, this is all we know for now. But to this day, Destin's family are still desperately holding out hope for some answers in his case, as they are adamant that he would have never simply left his life behind, especially without mentioning anything to his daughter who meant the world to him. However, given that Destin has now been officially missing for over 6 months, alongside the incredibly concerning details surrounding his case, I can't help but feel that the likelihood of his safe return is only growing weaker as the days pass. So, with that, let's get into some of the potential theories. Now, if you're familiar with my channel, then you'll likely know that I usually prefer to start these videos by looking into the more positive theories associated with the case, as until we have concrete evidence that Destin is no longer with us, there is still a chance that he could return home alive one day. However, I feel I should mention that during my research I stumbled upon a very harrowing Facebook post that was made by his own mother, Lawana Shaw, which read, "My son was murdered, kidnapped and robbed after the fact from his home," followed by an image of her son as if she was announcing some kind of major update in the case. But despite how black and white this post may sound, I am inclined to believe that this was not an official announcement as such, more of a morbid theory that Lawana has put together in her mind based on the evidence, which, to be honest with you, is not something I can completely disagree with. But the point I'm trying to make here is that I don't think there's been any explicit proof that Destin is no longer with us, and therefore there is still every reason to keep looking for him under the assumption that he could still be out there waiting to be found. Also, this Facebook post was from February, and since then there have been multiple news articles and comments from the police who have only mentioned that Destin is missing, with no official statements to announce his passing. However, with little to no evidence to back up the belief he is still alive, I find it extremely difficult to hold out hope here, especially given that he has now been missing for over half a year. But saying this, if we do continue under the assumption that Destin has unfortunately been taken from this world, what could have actually happened to him? And more importantly, who could be to blame? Well, one suspect which I'm sure came to mind immediately after asking that question would surely be the ex-partner Alex Rydell, as he was not only the last person to see Destin the night he disappeared, but he was also in possession of some incredibly suspicious items that belonged to Destin as well. Now, I understand that these two men were very close. After all, they appear to have moved across the country together and lived in the same apartment complex after being romantically involved for 9 years. However, despite this, I still think it's odd that Alex would have 2 of Destin's laptops, as well as his work phone, during the period that he would disappear. Also, I don't think I'm speaking too out of turn when I say that it also seems weird to me that 2 people that were romantically involved for 9 years could remain just friends, especially given the fact that Alex apparently lived in his apartment with his new girlfriend. I know every relationship is different, but I would assume that this situation would have surely been extremely uncomfortable for Alex's girlfriend. That is, of course, if she knew about their past relationship. So with this idea in mind, Could it be possible that this couple could have colluded in taking the life of Destin and then hiding his body so that it would never be found? Well, first of all, let me just say for the record that I wouldn't usually delve too deep into theories like these out of respect for the family. But seeing as Lawana has publicly come out to say that she believes her son was murdered, I feel it wouldn't be too disrespectful to at least consider the idea that Destin's life could have been tragically taken. So, getting back to the theory, I certainly think it's possible that Alex's girlfriend could have come home to find that something was going on between her boyfriend and Destin, and after finding out the truth about their relationship, she may have reacted violently, eventually leading to an unfortunate end. Another potential theory could be that, just like Lawana claims, Destin was robbed of his possessions and then brutally taken out by Alex and his girlfriend, for no other reason than to just make some extra money. Now, to me, this particular idea seems quite far-fetched, especially seeing as Alex would later admit to possessing the electronics, rather than lying or selling them immediately. But regardless of why the couple may have taken Destin's life, one detail which seems to be the definitive nail in the coffin is that since Destin's disappearance, both Alex and his girlfriend have apparently gone on the run. At least, this seems to be the case, according to Lawana Shaw. But given how close she is to the case, I would be inclined to believe her, so I truly hope that the police continue to investigate these potential suspects, as they could just be the key to finding out the truth in this case. Anyway, on that note, I think I'll leave this video here. But if you have any other theories of your own that you think may explain what really happened to Destin Henderson, please leave your comments down below and I'll do my best to get back to you. But until then, thank you so much for watching and make sure to subscribe to the channel for updates on these stories. Also, if you're from the Houston area or you just found this story interesting, make sure to check out the videos on screen now, which cover the cases of several other missing people from Texas that are still yet to be found to this day.